All right, welcome. Now I am, here taking some questions for APUSH. We got 5 viewers now. Welcome, and I am here with Tim Betts from Mr. Betts' class, who is also on YouTube. Tim, you want to say hey?
Hey, everybody out there. Tell me if I'm too loud.
Okay, and I think, Tim, you should be showing up there when that comes up. Okay, now, if you want to ask a question, the easiest way for me to keep up with that is if you were asking through Twitter. I'm at Tom Richey at Twitter at TOMRICHEY, or you can email me at tr@tomrichey.net. Those are just going to be the easiest ways for me to keep up with all of that. And let's see if we've got anything. We don't have anything coming in yet. Now, Tim, you said you saw like a group chat feature as well that I should probably
I think group chat is the first one on the top on the left.
Okay. There we go. Okay, I see some chat. That may just be us. But yeah, if you've got a question, just go ahead and tweet it at me, and I will, either I or Tim will address that. Okay, let's see. We've got a tweet here from Modest, but I don't have a question yet. So looking for a question specifically on the subject of colonial America is what I'm looking for. Looking for at this point. Okay, anybody still waiting to see if that's now also we've got some we can do headwear and stuff like that, so that's one of those things. Let me put on this hat while I wait for people. You see my hat, Tim?
I do.
Yeah, so hat, dog mask, that wow. Yeah, this thing. Oh, here we go. Okay, Angelica Delgado, who is, the reason that I hosted this thing in the first place. She is asking, what is an example of colonial religious toleration? Tim, I might just throw that to you, because didn't you say you had something coming up on Pennsylvania or something like that?
I actually just had this week, my videos come out every Thursday. It was all about William Penn, the founding of Pennsylvania, founding the principles of the Quakers, founding the religious tolerance, not just European religions, one of the few places Native Americans fair handed. So yeah, Pennsylvania would be a good example of that. You could also start talking about Rhode Island and the Providences, with Roger Williams. So there's another good example. You start talking about, to a certain extent, Maryland being as a refuge for Catholics, and then winds up being forced into being a refuge for all Christians. Sorry if you were Jewish, loud, but when you have a big conflict Atlantic with Protestant Catholics, you have a little bit of representation there.
All right, now Tim, let me see if I get some feedback from people, because I'm not sure if I, you were a little bit muddled, from my end. Let's see, and now I don't know how to take this hat off. I think that I just royally screwed up. This hat is probably going to be on me for the rest of the Hangout. Okay, so the thing is, let me see if I can get some feedback on that. Let's see. Okay, they couldn't quite hear you, Tim. Yeah, we couldn't really understand what you were saying. I'm not sure if it's the connection or what. But Tim, let me show you some resources, because of course we're helping folks out, and then we're also promoting your work and kind of our work, and showing people the kind of stuff that you can you can access, stuff that we've already put out there to help you. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you, and let's see. We're going to go ahead and share that. And let's see, Tim can be found at www.youtube.com. Tim, you see my screen, right?
Yeah, I see your screen.
Okay, let's see. So if you go to Mr. Betts' class, That's Tim's channel, and I've got him join us tonight. He's got Pennsylvania, the Quaker's Delight, Lion King parody song that you should definitely check out, because the Quakers were very tolerant, really, of everything. Now let's see. I know we're supposed to watch the ads, so Tim can get some money, but we're gonna go out here and see what's going on. All right, so you're free to watch that. The Quakers were a religious sect in England, and they were a little bit different. They wore funny clothes. When you see Quaker oats and that sort of thing, and you're like, okay, yeah, that looks really funny. And then let's see. Sorry, I got something funny on my screen there. Uh-oh. Well, what just happened? Okay, but yeah, the Quakers wore funny clothes, but they were also pacifist, and that's one thing about the Quakers is they were, they didn't go to war, they're not in combat, that sort of thing. They don't like to fight, and they also won't compel anybody to practice a religion or anything like that. They believe that was, that was a form of coercion. And so the Quakers wouldn't want to do that. Now, also, I believe Tim was talking about the Maryland Toleration Act, which Lord Baltimore put into effect in order to guarantee. Lord Baltimore was a Catholic, and keep in mind that Catholics were not welcome in England, at all, really. And so he founded this colony for Catholics, but he decided to, pass a Toleration Act. It was his proprietary colony. Keep in mind, colonies could be either proprietary, where someone basically owns the colony, corporate or joint stock, where you have a company that is founding the colony, or a royal colony that's directly administered by the king. So Lord Baltimore was like a proprietor, and he decided to issue a Toleration Act, which said that we are going to tolerate all Trinitarian Christians. So if you were a Jew or a Muslim or an atheist or anything like that, that could be punishable by death. So in Pennsylvania, it was pretty much full toleration because the Quakers were just all about, tolerating. And keep in mind that, the Puritans and, those folks up there in New England, that they were coming for quote unquote religious freedom. But when it came to people like Roger Williams and Anne Hutchinson, that were religious dissenters, they exiled them from the colony. They're like, no place for you here. So those would be examples of the best examples of colonial religious toleration would be either the Quakers. Now, also Roger Williams, who I've mentioned, who was the Puritan minister, who said that, hey, I don't believe people should be compelled to practice a religion. And he went to Rhode Island and founded his colony of Providence Plantations and founded what was the first Baptist church of the United States, which is, really interesting given the sense that the Baptists are the largest Protestant denomination in the country today. And really, you look outside the United States and Baptists aren't all that common. I mean, it's a very American sort of religion because, it's governed from the congregation. It's very democratic in its setup. And, it's like, they'll hire and fire their ministers and that sort of thing right there in the congregation. So that's Roger Williams. So that's another example of religious toleration in the colonies. And so let's see. I don't have any more questions on Twitter. Let's see if I've got anything that's come in via email. tr@tomrichey.net if you want to send me an email. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tim for a minute. Let you learn a little bit more about his channel. Now, Tim, keep in mind that they may be having trouble hearing you. So the more if you share your screen, kind of show them some visual stuff there. And Tim's going to kind of take courses that he's got on YouTube already to help you prepare for your test on Colonial America.
All right. Give me a thumbs up. Middle. I'm in the middle.
Okay, yeah, I can kind of hear you now. Try to talk a little more slowly. Like when you're just saying a little bit, I can hear you. But whenever you if you're talking and kind of getting on a roll, I wasn't hearing you earlier. So just try maybe to talk deliberately or something and see how that works.
Okay. All right. So we'll do a screen share. Show you what I got.
Let's see. Go ahead and share your screen. Okay, here we go. I think he's sharing a screen.
All right. So,
Okay.
just for this first one, you can find it right on the front page of Mr. Betts class on YouTube.com. It's a parody song for Pennsylvania, the Queen of the Light. It's done for Lion King, the Circle of Light. Seems to be doing pretty well. And we'll go over the main principles, like where William Penn got the land from. The land itself actually was a debt that was owed to the Penn family, it was owed to his father. The father died. King tells King instead of giving me land. And he goes out, he finally gets it in France, 1681, founds Pennsylvania, and makes it a place based on Quaker principles. Whereas the Puritans made a place based on Puritan principles, and really had to follow them religiously, no pun intended. The Pennsylvania Quakers, they focus on the principle of equality. Now, as far as behavior, as far as games and using it up and stuff, they're strict on that. When it came to that you have faith, what you felt in your heart, you were pretty good to go. And also, as I was before, you'll see.
Let's see, Tim.
Yes.
We're still having some technical difficulties, which. Yeah, let's figure out. Go ahead, and do you have any other things for Colonial America specifically that you can show them on your screen as far as directing them to another video or something like that? Would probably be beneficial, and then we'll probably just cut you loose and try to have you back on another time.
How far do you want to go? Do you want to go like into the Revolution or just out?
Okay, how about since y'all can hear me, let me make sure everybody can hear me just fine. Is that the case? Let me see what folks are saying, if they can hear me or not. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. You can hear me over there? Okay,
yeah, I hear.
Okay. Well, let me kind of show you around his channel. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you here, and show you a few things here. So let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and share that. All right, so let's see. All right, so there's my screen. If I'm going to Mr. Betts' class, okay, so he's got that. And as far as videos, even there's a good bit about for the American Revolution. I would definitely recommend this. Did Parliament have a right to tax the colonies? He's got some French influence, some really good stuff here. Hopefully, you'll subscribe to his channel. Because he's got a lot of things that can help you out in APUSH, and it looks like I've got I've got a few things here that are coming in on Twitter. Okay, so let's see, and Tim, if you want to hang around, that's great, and we might try to activate you again and see if maybe that's okay. And I don't know if you may have a different mic setup you want to try or something like that while I answer a few more questions.
So a lot of
Okay, so I've got my daughter here real quick. Just wants to say hello. Hey, Caroline, I think your friend Kevin's watching. You want to say hey?
Hey.
All right. Good night. All right, say hey. What are you going to say? Anything else? All right. Love you. All right.
I want to sit with you.
Okay, you want to sit with me? All right, you can sit with me for a few minutes. Okay. All right, now let me go ahead and take a couple of questions then. And one of the questions here, William Penn was a secret Catholic Muslim. Wait, what? I don't know. Maybe that's what somebody heard, through the muddled something or other. Okay, so yeah, I don't think that that's going to be on the APUSH exam. Now, Angelica has another question. What was the Albany Congress? Okay, and we're talking about like the Albany Plan of Union. This was something from like the French and Indian War era, keeping that during the colonial period, the 13 colonies were all, they were 13 colonies. There was really no mechanism for these colonies being united. And before the French and Indian War, there was never. All right, good night, Caroline. All right, Mama's calling you. All right, okay, go to Mama. All right. So the thing is, there was really no unity there. They were 13 completely separate colonies. Like I said, some of them being proprietary, basically owned by somebody. You know, whether that was South Carolina with the Lords Proprietors, Pennsylvania with William Penn, or you know, Lord Baltimore in Maryland, or you had some royal colonies, and then of course Virginia was founded as a joint stock company or colony by the Virginia Company. So you know, you had all of these colonies, which also you've got the New England colonies, where people are coming mainly for religious reasons, and they are involved in shipping and trade primarily, and you know, cutting timber and fishing. Whereas the middle colonies, they are growing staple crops. They're growing like wheat and corn and stuff like that to eat. And the southern colonies, they're growing tobacco and other cash crops, crops to sell. And those people coming to the South, they weren't coming there for religion or anything like that. So you've got a different mindset in all of these colonies, that they're all very distinct, all founded at different times. So the whole idea of the Albany Congress during the French and Indian War, it wasn't going so well for the British at first. And they're thinking, okay, well, we're going to have to figure out something. You may have seen that political cartoon that was drawn by Ben Franklin. This shows up a good bit on like AP exams and that sort of thing. Let me go ahead and go to that. Let's see, Albany. Albany Plan of Union. Okay, and that was in 1754. Okay, now you're going to see the this snake drawing. That should come up on this page. Wikipedia, you disappoint me. All right, so this was during the French and Indian War. Ben Franklin wrote that, you know, who according to my friend Kevin was, you know, invented electricity with something or other. All right, so anyway, we've got this. Now, this is a snake, okay? Join or, y'all should all know what a snake is by now, right? Your AP students. Join or die, all right? So the thing is here that New England, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia was still kind of a new colony, I guess not enough to count. But anyway, that is the cartoon where you see that like the colonies are fragmented. Now, of course, if you look later, by the time of the Revolution, you've got this flag that, of course, you see today. A lot of you know, a lot of people using this today, especially like in the Tea Party and other circles. But this goes back to the American Revolution. This Gadsden flag that says "Don't tread on me." This symbolizes the United States united. Okay, whereas during the French and Indian War there was division. By the time of the revolutes acting together. Nobody would have talked about the United Colonies or anything like that during the French and Indian War. So hopefully I have successfully answered that question, Angelica. And let's move on to, you know, Alex has a question. Alex is asking, why did the difference in development occur between the New England and Chesapeake regions? Now, keep in mind, this is something I see a lot on the APUSH exam, that, you know, normally for a U.S. history course, you're thinking in terms of like New England, Middle, and Southern colonies. You also have to think in terms of Chesapeake. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a, you know, trying to pull up a map for you to kind of give you a view of where everything is. So you kind of know the geography of this. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this with you again. And when we look at the 13 colonies, you've got the southern colonies, okay, which in particular, you've got Virginia and Maryland, which are the Chesapeake colonies. And the reason why things are different in these colonies, why there would be differences in development and all of that, is because New England, of course, they're coming here for religious freedom, quote unquote, at least for them, and the growing season's short, the soil's rocky, this is not a good place for agriculture. Meanwhile, the Chesapeake, this is good tobacco growing country. So when you go there, you're going there for a different reason, and you know, a different culture is developing here. Now keep in mind, you also have the importation of slaves in the late 17th century. So you've got, you know, slave labor is beneficial here, whereas it's not really that profitable here. The reason why it was so easy to abolish slavery up north is because it never really got ingrained in the culture, because it was never really all that, you know, economically beneficial. in order to have slavery up there. So that's why you see a difference in those Chesapeake colonies where they're growing tobacco. And from what I hear, tobacco planting and harvesting and all that is very hard work. People don't want to do it, and that's why you either had to get indentured servants right at first, those people that would sign a contract and they'd basically be slaves for a set period of time, or later on where you have slaves that are providing most of the labor by the time of the late 17th century. Now that's another thing that I've seen come up on the APUSH exam too, is that you need to understand that it wasn't like they landed at Jamestown, it was like, all right, slavery, okay? Because at first you had this system of indentured servitude, and it was about 1619, I believe, either 1619 or 1620, that there was a ship that got to Virginia and dropped off the first 20 or so African slaves. And, these indentured servants, there was a lot of trouble here because a lot of them would run off before their term was up and that sort of thing. And you see a transition in the middle of the 17th century from indentured servitude as the main source of labor to slavery as the main source of labor. And let's see, okay, so we've got Bacon's Rebellion, okay, we've got USC UP History 106, okay? Now, Bacon's Rebellion is one of the, it's the first of what I call the disgruntled white rebellions. You've got two kinds of rebellions, slave rebellions and rebellions of disgruntled whites. And Bacon's Rebellion is a rebellion against the western Virginia farmers. And this is something, it's in the history of South Carolina as well, where you've got, the coast, and then you've got the backcountry farmers. So let's go ahead and take a look at Bacon's Rebellion. I think we've got a map that I can show you here. And this is going to be a situation that's eventually going to lead to the founding of West Virginia during the Civil War. So if we look for a Bacon's Rebellion map. All right, here we go. Now, what happens here is from early in Virginia's history, what's going on is that you've got the Tidewater out here. This is the good land, and this is where the first families that arrive, they get this good land. And if you come later, then you have to settle in the backcountry, okay? So this was an area where, people were settled in. You had towns and a few cities, and then you get back here, it's more of a frontier sort of thing. And if the Indians are attacking, they're attacking out here, not here. And these people were upset because the other thing is when you go to Jamestown and you go to the House of Burgesses or whatever they were calling the assembly at the time, if it was the House of Burgesses yet, but the legislature, it was the Tidewater planters. The planters being people who owned like a lot of slaves, had large plantations. They're the ones represented. They don't have to worry about these Indian attacks. So these Western farmers, they felt like they weren't being adequately represented and that the royal governor and the legislature were ignoring their needs and their safety, and there was a lot of bad feeling about that Nathaniel Bacon was able to tap into. Nathaniel Bacon actually being a guy of some means, but you have this rebellion of these disgruntled white Western farmers who go and they set fire to the Capitol and all that kind of stuff. The royal governor ends up being removed after this. So as far as indentured servitude and the effect, keep in mind that indentured servants, they would have had to, when they're done being indentured servants, they would have had to, move to the backcountry. It's not like, hey, here's some of this good Tidewater land, you can have that. No, get out. Go to the back and get attacked by Indians or something like that. So that's essentially Bacon's Rebellion in this rigid sort of class system that's forming in colonial Virginia. The Halfway Covenant. Okay, I've got a question about the Halfway Covenant from Angelica again. Now, the people who came to Massachusetts, the Puritans and the Separatists, they were Calvinists. They wanted to found, as John Winthrop put it, a city upon a hill. And they want to create this religious utopia up here in America. And everybody that's coming, they're like, yeah, that's why we're here, is like religion and that sort of thing. Well, what happens here is the young folks, they grow up, they're not so into it. They didn't really choose to be a part of this, grand religious experiment. And the next generation, they're not as crazy about like church attendance and stuff. And at the very beginning, in order to be a member of the church, you had to document a conversion experience. And keep in mind that from a Calvinist perspective, with predestination, here's you, and you can't really do anything about your salvation because you are incapable of that. God has to act on you, okay? God has to say, like, look, you are, I am reaching out to you, and now you're one of the elect, or you've always been one of the elect, but I'm letting you know, okay? So if you were one of the elect, you would have a legitimate conversion experience, that God would quicken your heart. And so that was part of church membership, kind of similar to like a Baptist church where, you would make a profession of faith and be baptized to join the church. Now, of course, they would have baptized infants, but if in order to be a part of the church, you had to have this conversion experience. And some of these young folks are like, I'm just not feeling it. I'm not really having this conversion experience. And so the early rules said you can't join the church if you didn't have a conversion experience. And then they realized, well, wait, we've got a little problem here because a lot of these young people aren't joining the church. And the halfway covenant says, okay, we'll make some kind of like halfway church membership for those people who haven't had a conversion experience. And that way you can still come to church, you raise your kids in the church and that sort of thing, but we're not going to make you have a conversion experience in order to be in order to be a member of the church. That's essentially what the halfway covenant is, and it's kind of setting the stage for the Great Awakening that's going to come around later, because you see like these people came into the colony and they were all energized about religion, and then enter the halfway covenant and people are just kind of like and then sinners in the hands of an angry God, like you are about to die and go to hell, and people are like, ah, and that sort of thing. So you see that, but yeah, that's the halfway covenant essentially, is you don't really have to have the conversion experience in order to be a part of the church, at least nominally. Another question from Angelica. Okay, y'all hit me up on Twitter. Angelica's getting me, let's see, at Tom Richey, at TOMRICHEY on Twitter. So just keep in mind, or you can email me either through my website or tr@tomrichey.net. Let me check the chat as well and see if anything's coming from there. Okay, Madison, I hope I answered your question about plantocracy. Plantocracy being like government by the planters, that the planters are dominant and that sort of thing. But Angelica's asking now, what are some early forms of democracy in the colonies? All right, so first of all, the Mayflower Compact, when the Pilgrims came over, they decided that they were essentially going to make decisions by majority rule. And so when they get off the boat, they're like, okay, we're going to make decisions by majority rule. And this kind of institutionalizes itself in the form of town meetings, that the New Englanders tend to have these town meetings in order to make decisions. Whereas in the South, this plantocracy that Madison mentioned is, in the South you have representative government, but it's not necessarily democratic. You have a legislative body that's dominated by the wealthy planters, whereas New England tended to be more egalitarian. Another thing that I've seen come up before would be the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut, which was the governing document in the Connecticut colony, which is kind of a precursor to the Constitution. So keep that in mind, Mayflower Compact and New England town meetings. And keep in mind that while the government in the southern colonies tended to be more aristocratic, and more class-oriented, it still was representative, or at least the people who could vote were representative if you owned property, and that sort of thing. All right, now I've got 8:30, so I'm going to be wrapping up in a bit. But looks like Angelica, I mean, she is just on fire with these questions. Looks like I've got one more. let's see, Adam, I'm seeing the Salem witch trials. That's not really, I haven't seen that emphasized on the exam nearly as much as it may have been previously. A lot of textbooks have kind of taken it out to the point where I'm really not an expert on it. You'd probably be better off watching The Crucible or something like that. I mean, I do know that it wasn't just religious, that you've got the Salem village and the Salem town, and you've got some rivalry there, just like, over economics, just like you had in Bacon's Rebellion. So keep in mind that there is an economic motive, not just a religious motive to the Salem witch trials, but it really has been something that hasn't been as, hasn't been emphasized quite as much. Okay, so let's close off with something. Oh wow, we've got a few more. Okay, so let me see what I've got here. Okay, the importance of education in New England. All right, so Harvard University, which this is something I'm looking at doing a lecture on pretty soon. I've got slides for it, just need to record it. Harvard University was the first university founder, the first college, Harvard College at the time, founded in the colonies. And they thought, okay, we've built houses, we've got towns, we're not starving, so now we need to make sure that we brought ministers with us, but at some point they're going to die, and we've got to educate new ministers. And we don't want our ministers to be ignorant. And this is part of, like, if you get to the Great Awakening later on, you start to see that there are people who, these new lights that aren't as into an educated ministry, but this was a big deal. Like, if you were going to be a Puritan minister, you needed to have an education. And they wanted everybody to be able to read the Bible. And so this is why you've got in New England an emphasis on education that you don't really see in the southern colonies, where they're coming to farm and make money. And that's why, in the antebellum period, you're going to see the first public schools in New England, not in the South. The South's not going to have, like, widespread public education until Reconstruction. So that's, really the religious element in New England is a big deal as far as the importance of education, because they wanted an educated ministry. Let's see, and I've got a few more. I've got Pool Kid and Joanna. So let's see. Let me see here. Clarify the difference between the Plymouth and Massachusetts colonization. Okay, so Pool Kid, there are Massachusetts Bay, like the colony, you've got Plymouth, which was founded by separatists. Okay, there were two types of, and this is important here. There are two types of Calvinists in England. You have Puritans who sought to purify the church. Like, if you think about it like some water. Okay, now. There are some people that say tap water won't kill you. All right, and so it's like, okay, drink the tap water. This is filtered water. This is not going to kill me. And so the thing is, you've got people at the Church of England who are like, hey, this is fine, all right? I've got some tap water, it's great. And then you've got the Calvinists who they're like, hey, this is too Catholic. This church, like Henry VIII, he just wanted to divorce his wife. So the Church of England is the most conservative of the Reformations. And so these Calvinists, John Calvin was a radical reformer. And John Calvin wanted to change everything, wrote his own, the Institutes of the Christian Religion, basically starting at systematic theology from the ground up. And these Calvinists, they were like, hey, we want some changes. And the Puritans, they felt like, you know what, let's just put it through the Brita filter, okay? Like, basically, they wanted to purify the Church of England and make it more like them, which churches don't really, like people coming in and saying they should change things and stuff. But keep in mind that in England at the time, you had to be a part of the Church of England if you were going to live in England before the English Civil War. And so then you had the separatists, and the separatists, these were people who said, look, we don't want to mess with the Church of England. We just want to form our own separate church. And the Pilgrims, they were separatists. They moved to the Netherlands first, but they didn't like their kids were being corrupted by the culture over there. They were like, we want to be English. So they came over and they founded Plymouth, which was a separatist colony. And then you had the Massachusetts Bay Colony, which was a Puritan colony. So as far as those being different, you do have the Puritans and the separatists. Keep in mind that they were both Calvinists. They both believed in the doctrines of John Calvin. They both wore their funny clothing and that sort of thing, but you had a difference in the way that they sought to solve the problem of the Church of England being too Catholic. And then, Joanna has asked, can you explain some of the events leading to the American Revolution? Sorry, it's a vague question. Now, Joanna, you don't have to be sorry at all because, part of the reason that I do these things, not just out of the kindness of my heart, it's to promote my work. And so let me go ahead and show you that I've already kind of answered this stuff here. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and show you just a few things that are available to y'all. If you go to, let's see, Tom Richey, American Revolution. Let's see if we can get that. Okay, you've got a few things here. The Road to Revolution is the second part. So I've got a few videos that I'm going to refer you to, Joanna. And so first of all, you would want to start probably with English origins of American government. So if you go there, actually I've got a playlist. Okay, it looks like yes, I've got a playlist. Okay, American Revolution playlist. And so, and I don't know what that private video is. I'll have to look at that. Let's see. But I've got Parliament Tax to the Colonies and the Road to Revolution. These two videos are, these two videos are basically going all the way from the end of the French and Indian War to the Intolerable Acts in Lexington and Concord. And these videos, let's see, that's an 18-minute video. This one's a 10-minute video. So in about half an hour, oh yeah, we're live right now. That's great that they're plugging my stuff. That's awesome. All right, so the thing is, that stuff is already there for you. And as far as anything else on Colonial America, if you go here, we should have something. Let's see, we got some Colonial America review there. I've got some brand new stuff here. Now I've got this is Native American cultures, which are more emphasized on this new APUSH exam than they were previously. So I'd recommend you taking a look at that video. And I've also got some recent videos on New Spain and New France. Let me go ahead and take you there. We're going to view my channel. It's loading, it's loading. Okay, so keep in mind to do some European history as well. So, if you take an AP Euro, or if you do at any other point, or have a friend who's taken AP Euro, I've got New Spain and New France. I've got something about Native Americans and the colonists, contrasting different things of the colonists. Then I've got the Treaty of Paris, that's American Revolution stuff, the Anti-Federalist, but I've got, quite a few resources for you there that I've got in a few playlists. If you go to my website, the stuff's more organized, tomrichey.net. And if you go there, you go to courses and you can go to APUS history. And if you go to Colonial America, then you're going to see that playlist is right there. So you can actually just go ahead and access that playlist on YouTube. Let's see. So yeah, you're able to go to YouTube and access that playlist. So we've got lots of things there. $1,000? Oh wow. Trick question. That's creepy. All right, so you've got that. I've got some documents. I've got some PowerPoint presentations and that sort of thing. Now, the other thing is if you go to the American Revolution, you can see the same sort of thing where I've got those playlists there as far as that goes. So let me go ahead. Let's see if we've got any more questions that I could answer very briefly. Okay, viewership is growing. Hopefully you've subscribed to my channel if you're here, and keep in mind that although we had some technical difficulties, Mr. Betts is still there. His microphone hasn't been working, but keep in mind Mr. Betts' class. I showed you that earlier. You can either you can subscribe to his channel and or follow him on Twitter, Mr. Betts' class, and I just referenced him in my feed, so just keep that in mind, let's see, youtube.com, Mr. Betts class. Okay, so definitely make sure to check out that channel as well, and we will definitely hear from him again when we have we have some time there. Also, if I'm going to do these sessions once in a while, and typically these sessions are going to last about half an hour or so. They'll focus on a particular topic. I'll take some questions and then I'll go. But if you would like to talk to me more, I mean, I do private tutoring. That's available on my website, or you can email me and we can negotiate a rate for that. I can tutor you individually through online like this, or if you've got a group of friends, I won't charge you any more. Like if there are 5 of you that are together that want to pitch in, then get in touch with me, because I do that as well, and that way it's just, hey, we can take your questions in particular. I also will, as much as I hate grading DBQs and what used to be FRQs, now they're LEQs, I will do it for money. If you've got a situation, especially closer to the exam, where you want me to evaluate your work, I can do that. Check out my channel, check out my website, follow me on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at Tom Richey on Instagram, at Tom Richey on Twitter, and just want to thank Angelica for asking me to do this, and for everybody else who has joined us. And are you? I don't know if Tim's mic'd or unmiked. Let's see. He may be unmiked, but if you want to, he waved goodbye.
I don't know if you. Goodbye, everybody.
Okay, we heard the goodbye. We can hear like the first 2 syllables of what you say. So thanks for joining. Yeah, if we could just keep it all in 2 syllables, just ask you a bunch of yes or no questions. Then should somebody subscribe to your channel?
Yes.
Okay, see, we heard that totally. All right. So thank you everybody who showed up, and I will be doing some more of these. Please get in touch with me, and would love to help you with some more APUS history. Look for us in a few weeks talking about the events leading up to the American Revolution. And hopefully I'll hear from some of you soon. Until next time.